How's it going, everyone? It is Andre Williams, and over here we talk stocks, so we focus on one thing. Always protect your profits. And today we're going to be talking about Lucid, which was down 3.37% on the day. It also did break our higher low and higher high pattern. So I know many people are going to have some questions. I want to make sure you're prepared for tomorrow. I won't waste any more time. Let's jump into the agenda. If you're new to this channel, I just want to let you know we have timestamps down below inside the description. But if you're a shareholder, you're thinking about taking a position, I highly suggest you watch this full entire video. So the first thing we're going to go over is the technical analysis. We're going to be taking a look at the overall price action. We want to know support. We want to know resistance. We want to know what it looks like in the bearish case scenario and as well as in the bullish case scenario. And then we're going to be going on Fintel, taking a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information. The reason why this is important because it does have an impact on the way the stock performs. And then we're going to be taking a look at the order flow distribution. We want to know the buying and the selling behavior on the retail side and as well as on the institutional side. And then when all of that is done, we'll be going into the final thoughts and as well as some more details. So let's get to it. So we're going to do a technical analysis for Lucid. Let's see how it performed on the day. So it ended up closing at $19.50, being down 3.37%. On the low, it tested $19.26, and then on the high, testing $20.55. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 15.699 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days is at 22.364 million shares. So we have below average volume on the day, and we also seen a pullback in the stock. Now, when we take a look at our chart, which is a daily chart, we can see from the RSI down below, it's at 52.46. And then when we take a look at our moving averages here on the chart, we are below the 200-day, we're below the 50-day, but we are above the 21-day EMA. And when we take a look at our price action, of course, Lucid is in a bear market since it's trading below our 200-day moving average. So as far as the red day that we had today, Lucid is still in a good position. And why is that? It is still remaining to be above the 21-day EMA, which is at $18.67. So you want this area of support to actually hold. If it wants to consolidate between the 21-day EMA and as well as the 50-day, which is right here around $20.51, that's perfectly fine because that consolidation can get it ready for the next move up if we see an uptrend in these markets. We have been seeing it for quite some time, and of course for the pullback that we had, it's not surprising. Again, profit taking happening. So as far as support is concerned, if we don't pull back to the 21-day EMA, I'd want to see support holding up at least around $19. Because if Lucid could hold $19, there's no doubt in my mind we should be able to test back into the $20 range again as well. If we end up breaking through the 21-day EMA, then of course you want to see support coming in right here around $17.60. And if it doesn't come in, do know we could have some more weakness and we could see Lucid pulling back to around $16. But for the most part, it's still on an uptrend, even though we did break our pattern in regards to higher lows, but I would continue to keep an eye on this play. Now let's move on to the short interest information. So we're going to take a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information for Lucid. So scrolling down on the page, green rows indicate new positions while red rows indicate closed positions. So when we take a look at the recent filings from May the 31st, we have Catalyst Exceed Defined Risk Fund Class A, which purchased 1,136 shares. And then as far as for the other positions, as far as new and closed, we've already covered in previous videos. So now when we take a look at the short interest, the off-exchange short volume ratio is at 52.75%. And then for the off-exchange short volume, it is just over 4.5 million shares. Scrolling down on the page, the short shares availability is at 250,000, updated 21 minutes ago. And then for the short borrow fee rate, it is at 12.85%. When we take a look at the history of the short volume, we can see for the close of the 27th, it was at 49.29, and then for the close of the 31st being at 52.75. And then taking a look at the short interest percentage of the float being at 24.25%, Lucid does have short squeeze potential. Now let's move on to the order flow distribution. Now let's take a look at the order flow distribution for Lucid. When we take a look at the inflow, it is at 61.63 million, and then for the outflow, it's at 54.72 million. So we had an inflow day. Taking a look at the breakdown, on the large, it was 13.31 million. On the medium, it was 31.26 million, and then on the small, it was 17.06 million. Taking a look at the outflow side, you can see on the large it was 0, on the medium it was 32.74, and then on the small it was 21.98 million. And taking a look at the large scale orders in the last 5 days, you can see for June the 1st we had that inflow of 13.31 million, and for the 31st we had an outflow of 20.37 million. Analyzing the numbers even further, for the small scale orders that tends to represent the retail side, we had more selling than we had buying. And then when we take a look at what happened on the medium, we had more selling than we had buying. And then when we take a look at the large, which represents whales, institutions, and funds, we had more buying than we had selling. And then when we take a look at the turnover ratio, it was at 0.94%. So this is definitely a good range for Lucid. We're used to seeing it in the 1% range. So what does this show us? It shows us that many are holding on to their positions, and we're not getting a ton of traders going in and out of this play because the shares are not liquid. And we also have to take into consideration the free float is at 1.6 billion shares. So as far as trading volume is concerned and looking at that turnover ratio, it's exactly where you want to see it if you are an investor inside of the play. Now let's move on to the final thoughts, and we'll go over some more details as well. So for my final thoughts for Lucid, when it comes to the price action, like I was saying previously, we did end up breaking our higher low and higher high pattern. So for today, I'm not surprised. We had some profit taking, which is perfectly fine. As long as Lucid is able to stay above the 21-day EMA, it's going to show continued strength. And where do we have the 21-day EMA? It is at $18.67. So staying above this level will definitely be a good look for the play, especially if you're looking for a further move to the upside. It ended up seeing a high at $20.55. And if we take a look at where we have our 50-day moving average, it's right at $20.51. So we can revisit back above $20.55. You know the next level that you want Lucid to get to is around $22.50. Now, as far as for the bearish case scenario, is if it breaks through that 21-day EMA, there's a strong possibility Lucid could start testing $17. And if it breaks through $17, we know the next level is around $16.50, and then going below $16.50, that's where we could possibly see it start trading in the $14 range. So at least you know what it looks like to the upside, and as well as for the downside, you are fully prepared. Now, when we went on Fintel, taking a look at the recent institutional ownership, we didn't see a lot of activity whatsoever. We covered most of it in our prior videos. And then when we took a look at the short interest information, Lucid does continue to have short squeeze potential. We already know this is the volatile market that we are dealing with. And when it comes to growth stocks, there's many shorts who are vested in these plays, especially since they have ran up quite a bit. I'm not shocked that the short interest still remains to be high. So I just want to make sure if you are an investor, you have a good idea of what your entries are going to be and where do you want to buy the stock. Where do you see the most value? Where do you see the most upside? I want to make sure this is an important factor you consider before pushing the buy button. And if you are a trader, it is very important that you have those key levels that you want to focus on as far as for the upside and as well as the downside, because if you're playing options, this is how you decide whether to go in with calls or whether you want to go in with puts. And of course, you'd want to make sure that you have the triple Q or you have the SPY also on your watch list to make sure that you're buying your calls or you're buying your puts at the most appropriate time. We do this daily inside of the Discord, because if you don't know what the market direction can possibly look like, then you have no reason jumping into plays, because at that point, that's where I start considering it gambling. You want to make sure you trade your plan. Don't plan to trade. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I can't wait to see how Lucid performs going into tomorrow. We'll talk soon.